There is a financial question that looks incredibly simple. How much money is enough? Give a number. 10 lakh rupees, 1 crore rupees, 5 crore rupees, $1 million, $10 million. But here is the riddle. If you are given the amount you believe is enough today, and then your income doubles tomorrow, does the answer remain the same? If your investments double, does enough remain enough? If everyone around you becomes richer, does your definition of enough become smaller, or does your life suddenly feel poorer? And if your wealth increases but your fear of losing it increases at exactly the same speed, did you actually become richer? That is where the puzzle begins. Because perhaps the hardest financial number to calculate is not your net worth. It is the number that tells you, I can stop. Most people never calculate it. They simply keep moving. First, they want enough money to survive. Then enough to live comfortably. Then enough to buy a better house. Then enough to protect their family. Then enough to retire. Then enough to retire comfortably. Then enough so that retirement never becomes uncomfortable. And somewhere along the way, the original question disappears. Enough for what? That may be the most important financial question you can ask. Because money has two completely different functions. Money can solve problems. And money can create possibilities. The first function has a boundary. The second may have none. You need enough money for food. Enough for shelter. Enough for healthcare. Enough for emergencies. Enough to withstand periods when income disappears. Enough to protect yourself from financial decisions made under panic. But after those necessities are secured, something strange happens. Money stops buying survival. It starts buying optionality. The ability to say no. The ability to wait. The ability to leave a bad situation. The ability to survive a bad investment without destroying your future. The ability to take a year away from work. The ability to help someone without damaging yourself. And this creates the financial riddle. If money buys freedom, how much money do you need before you are free? There is no universal number. Because freedom is not determined only by wealth. It is determined by the relationship between wealth and your required lifestyle. Imagine two people. One has 2 crore rupees. The other has 10 crore rupees. Who is richer? You might immediately choose the second person. But suppose the first person needs 50,000 rupees a month to maintain the life they genuinely value. The second needs 5 lakh rupees every month merely to maintain the life they have become accustomed to. Suddenly the comparison becomes meaningless. The person with more money may actually have less financial freedom. And that reveals another layer of the riddle. Wealth is not simply what you own. It is the distance between what you own and what you must continuously spend. That distance is where freedom lives. But then comes inflation. The 1 crore rupees that feels enormous today will not have the same purchasing power decades from now. So perhaps enough must grow. But if enough must constantly grow, when does the chase end? And this is where many intelligent people make a subtle mistake. They confuse a target with a finish line. A target can be reached. A finish line means you stop running. If your definition of enough is just a little more than I have now, then mathematically, you may never arrive. Because the target moves every time your wealth moves. You earn 50 lakh rupees. 1 crore rupees sounds sufficient. You reach 1 crore rupees. 2 crore rupees feels safer. You reach 2 crore rupees. 5 crore rupees suddenly feels responsible. And once 5 crore rupees arrives, someone else's 20 crore rupees appears on your screen. Nothing changed about your financial security. Only your reference point changed. That is one of the most powerful forces in personal finance. Comparison can manufacture financial dissatisfaction without changing your actual financial condition. And the internet makes this dramatically worse. You can see someone else's house before breakfast. Someone else's portfolio before lunch. Someone else's luxury holiday in the afternoon. Someone else's business acquisition before dinner. You are constantly shown evidence that your enough is supposedly inadequate. But here is the uncomfortable question. What if the person you are trying to catch does not know where they are going either? Imagine two runners. The first runner says, I will run until I reach the tree. The second says, I will keep running until I am ahead of the other runner. The first has a destination. The second has an opponent. And an opponent can always move. That is why financial wisdom is not simply the ability to accumulate more. It is the ability to define what more is supposed to accomplish. So perhaps the real calculation of enough begins with expenses. Not income, not wealth, expenses. What does your life actually cost when you remove status, impulse, comparison, and unnecessary consumption? Then ask something even more difficult. What would you still want if nobody could see it? That question can completely change a financial plan. Because some expenses purchase genuine happiness. Some purchase convenience. Some purchase security. Some purchase experiences. And some merely purchase evidence that you are doing better than someone else. Those categories look identical on a bank statement. But financially, they are completely different. Now imagine you have finally accumulated enough assets to fund your desired life indefinitely. Would you continue working? If yes, why? For more money? For purpose? For achievement? For identity? For stimulation? Or because stopping would force you to confront a terrifying possibility? Maybe you were never chasing money. Maybe you were chasing the feeling that money promised. Safety, respect, control, freedom, recognition. And if that is true, then increasing the number in your bank account may never solve the underlying problem. Because money can increase security, but it cannot automatically create certainty. Money can reduce dependence, but it cannot eliminate uncertainty. Money can expand choices, but it cannot tell you which choice is worth making. And perhaps this is the final twist. You might think the answer to how much money is enough is a number. It isn't. The answer is a relationship. A relationship between your assets, your expenses, your risks, your responsibilities, your ambitions, and your definition of a good life. Enough is the point where additional money stops meaningfully increasing the life you actually want. But there is one final question. And perhaps this is the question that makes the entire riddle impossible to solve. How do you know that you have reached enough without first reaching it? You don't. You estimate. You build margins. You protect against uncertainty. You revisit the calculation. And eventually, you make a decision that no spreadsheet can make for you. You decide that your life is not an unfinished balance sheet. Because if every additional crow only moves the finish line another crow away, then you may become extraordinarily wealthy without ever becoming financially free. So perhaps the deepest financial wisdom is not learning how to make more money. It is learning when more money has stopped buying something you truly need. And that leaves you with the riddle. If you already have enough to live the life you genuinely value, but you continue accumulating forever, are you building wealth or postponing your life? Maybe the answer is hidden in the number. Or maybe the number was never the answer. Maybe the real wealth is knowing when you can finally say, I have enough.